Lindsay.
And I'm Sarah Thompson, and this is AtomicTV. RHS's GSA, or Gender and Sexualities Alliance, is back, and we want you to join us. Come and join us for our kickoff meeting this Friday at lunch. We will meet in Mrs. Wietzma's room 3209. All members and allies of the LGBTQ community are welcome.
Now let's head over to Noelle with your ASB Minute.
Hey Bombers, it's Noelle Anderson with your ASB Minute. If you are interested in auditioning for a talent or MC position for the Homecoming Coronation Talent Show, you can sign up out front of the choir room, and the auditions will be next Monday and Tuesday in the auditorium. Now back to the studio.
Attention to all interested in acting. We will be casting for 3 shows: The Actor Games, which is a spoof of the Hunger Games but with actors; Attention Detention, which is a play about kids in detention who tell about how they got detention; and Check Please, which is a play about the strangest teen first dates you've ever seen. Please come to one of the audition days to help us put on these hilarious comedies. You'll audition by reading from a script.
That sounds like a lot of fun, so make sure to be there, Bombers.
Yes, and here's Kyle Prigge with some info on cross country.
Hey Bombers, I'm Kyle. I'm here with Jacoby from the cross country team. So Jacoby, how did your last cross country meet go?
It went pretty well. We ran at Shadle Park in Spokane. I ran 13:57 for 2.5 miles, so that was a PR.
Nice.
And the rest of the team did pretty well. It was a good race.
That's awesome. So most of us haven't ran that far. What goes through your head during a race that long?
I kind of just think of song lyrics in my head. That kind of keeps me going, or I just keep my mind blank, or try and just catch the next person.
Nice.
So.
What kind of shoes do you like to wear when you're running that long?
I really like Brooks. They're really comfortable and they fit my feet pretty well. So, yeah.
That's awesome. Well, thank you. Back to the studio.
Hi, welcome to your first Character Strong segment of the year. Today we're going to cover Leadership Defined. Now let's watch a short video on leadership.
I want to start by asking everyone in the audience here a question. How many of you are completely comfortable with calling yourselves a leader? See, I've asked that question all the way across the country, and everywhere I ask it, no matter where, there's always a huge portion of the audience that won't put up their hand. And I've come to realize that we have made leadership into something bigger than us. We made it into something beyond us. We made it about changing the world. And we've taken this title of leader and we treat it as if it's something that one day we're going to deserve. But to give it to ourselves right now means a level of arrogance or cockiness that we're not comfortable with. And I worry sometimes that we spend so much time celebrating amazing things that hardly anybody can do, that we've convinced ourselves that those are the only things we're celebrating. And we start to devalue the things that we can do every day. And we start to take moments where we truly are a leader, and we don't let ourselves take credit for it, and we don't let ourselves feel good about it. And I've been lucky enough over the last 10 years to work with some amazing people who have helped me redefine leadership in a way that I think has made me happier. And with my short time today, I just want to share with you the one story that is probably most responsible for that redefinition. I went to a school on a little school called Mount Allison University in Sackville, New Brunswick. And on my last day there, a girl came up to me and she said, "I remember the first time that I met you." And then she told me a story that happened 4 years earlier. She said, "On my day before I started university, I was in the hotel room with my mom and my dad, and I was so scared and so convinced that I couldn't do this, that I wasn't ready for university, that I just burst into tears. And my mom and my dad were amazing. They were like, 'Look, we know you're scared, but let's just go tomorrow. Let's go to the first day, and if at any point you feel as if you can't do this, that's fine. Just tell us, we will take you home. We love you no matter what.'" And she says, so I went the next day and I was standing in line getting ready for registration, and I looked around and I just knew I couldn't do it. I knew I wasn't ready. I knew I had to quit. And she says, I made that decision, and as soon as I made it, there was this incredible feeling of peace that came over me. And I turned to my mom and my dad to tell them that we needed to go home. And just at that moment, you came out of the student union building wearing the stupidest hat I have ever seen in my life. It was awesome. And you had a big sign promoting Shinorama, which is Students Fighting Cystic Fibrosis, a charity I've worked with for years. And you had a bucket full of lollipops. And you were walking along and you were handing the lollipops out to people in line and talking about Shinorama. And all of a sudden, you got to me and you just stopped and you stared. It was creepy. This girl right here knows exactly what I'm talking about. And then you looked at the guy next to me and you smiled and you reached in your bucket, you pulled out a lollipop and you held it out to him. And you said, "You need to give a lollipop to the beautiful woman standing next to you." And she said, "I have never seen anyone get more embarrassed faster in my life." He turned beet red, and he wouldn't even look at me. He just kind of held the lollipop out like this. And I felt so bad for this dude that I took the lollipop. And as soon as I did, you got this incredibly severe look on your face, and you looked at my mom and my dad, and you said, "Look at that. Look at that. First day away from home, and already she's taking candy from a stranger." And she said everybody lost it. 20 feet in every direction, everyone started to howl. And I know this is cheesy, and I don't know why I'm telling you this, but in that moment when everyone was laughing, I knew that I shouldn't quit. I knew that I was where I was supposed to be, and I knew that I was home. And I haven't spoken to you once in the 4 years since that day, but I heard that you were leaving. And I had to come up and tell you that you've been an incredibly important person in my life, and I'm going to miss you. Good luck. And she walks away, and I'm flattened. And she gets about 6 feet away, she turns around and smiles and goes, you should probably know this too. I'm still dating that guy 4 years later. A year and a half after I moved to Toronto, I got an invitation to their wedding. Here's the kicker, I don't remember that. I have no recollection of that moment, and I've searched my memory banks because that is funny, and I should remember doing it, and I don't remember it. And that was such an eye-opening, transformative moment for me to think that maybe the biggest impact I'd ever had on anyone's life, a moment that had a woman walk up to a stranger 4 years later and say, you've been an incredibly important person in my life, was a moment that I didn't even remember. How many of you guys have a lollipop moment, a moment where someone said something or did something that you feel fundamentally made your life better? All right. How many of you have told that person they did it? See, why not? We celebrate birthdays where all you have to do is not die for 365 days. And yet we let people who have made our lives better walk around without knowing it. And every single one of you has been the catalyst for a lollipop moment. You have made someone's life better by something that you said or that you did. And if you think you haven't, think about all the hands that didn't go back up when I asked that question. You're just one of the people who hasn't been told. But it is so scary to think of ourselves as that powerful. It can be frightening to think that we can matter that much to other people. Because as long as we make leadership something bigger than us, as long as we keep leadership something beyond us, as long as we make it about changing the world, we give ourselves an excuse not to expect it every day from ourselves and from each other. Marianne Williamson said, our greatest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our greatest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light and not our darkness that frightens us. And my call to action today is that we need to get over that. We need to get over our fear of how extraordinarily powerful we can be in each other's lives. We need to get over it so we can move beyond it. And our little brothers and our little sisters, and one day our kids, or our kids right now, can watch us start to value the impact we can have on each other's lives more than money and power and titles and influence. We need to redefine leadership as being about lollipop moments. How many of them we create, how many of them we acknowledge, how many of them we pay forward, and how many of them we say thank you for. Because we've made leadership about changing the world, and there is no world. There's only 6 billion understandings of it. And if you change one person's understanding of it, one person's understanding of what they're capable of, one person's understanding of how much people care about them, one person's understanding of how powerful an agent for change they can be in this world, you've changed the whole thing. And if we can understand leadership like that, I think if we can redefine leadership like that, I think we can change everything. And it's a simple idea, but I don't think it's a small one. And I want to thank you all so much for letting me share it with you today. Having a great day at TED. I'll see you later.
And here's some RHS students that have had their own lollipop moments.
Hi, my name's Irene, and this is my lollipop moment. Last year, my junior year, I went through a hard time. I was at a very low in my life where I was hanging out with the wrong crowd, doing bad things. My dad has been an alcoholic for a while now, and this all was during like basketball season last year, and he wasn't sober for 3 days straight. And then my brother, I had just found out my oldest brother had cancer and he had to go through chemo. And I didn't know how to deal with all that on my shoulders. And I went to dance one day and I just wasn't myself. I was rude. I was quiet, didn't want to talk to anybody. And then my coach, she noticed it right away. And she talked to me and she's like, hey, what's wrong? And I'm just like, well, I didn't want to speak at all to her. And she finally got it out of me, and I broke down crying to her, telling her everything that's been happening. And then after she talked to me, and then I let my whole team know what was going on, and they all gave me a hug and they told me everything was going to be okay. And from there on, like, my team has always been there for me. And that's why I got this tattoo that says, God gives his toughest battles to the strongest of his people.
I'm Sydney, and my lollipop moment was when I lived in Virginia before I moved here. I was getting bullied very bad, and just one day it got really bad to a point of where I just kind of hid in a corner and I was crying in the hallway, and I actually had one of my teachers come up to me, and she really changed my life in a way, because honestly that night I don't know what I probably would have done, because if it wasn't for her to just sit there and tell me it was going to be okay and push me to go talk to my counselor and have my parents come in, you know, I'm really, really grateful for that moment.
Hey. You're on.
Hey Richland, hi. So my lollipop moment would have to be back in 2005. I was a freshman here, rough childhood, rough start in life, and I met the Murphys. They changed my life. They were great advocates. They helped me through everything and just let me know each day in that moment that there was nothing that I couldn't do. Now I am happily married. I have 2 kids, graduated high school and continuing my life. It's great. I love them and they are really awesome.
My name's Kylie, and I'd like to say what my lollipop moment was. It was about sophomore year, midway through the year. I had just gone through a lot as far as my parents were talking about things like divorce, and my brother was going through some pretty rough stuff, and a lot had happened. And I decided one day after school, when I had just finished helping a friend, I went outside while everybody was in class, and I was sitting at a picnic table, and right then and there I decided I was done, and I just quit everything. And I had a friend who out of nowhere came and sat by me, and she said something that to this day I will never forget. She told me, "Do you want to be better? Do you want to change?" And I said yes, and she goes, "If you want it bad enough, then you can do it." She's like, "Don't say you can't, just do it." And it was her being straightforward and telling me that changed my life to this day. So that was my lollipop moment.
We hope you have a great day, Bombers. Now please stand for the pledge.